All right, good to go.
All right.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool. And Jonathan, today we have a special guest in the green room waiting to go. He's standing up, stretching right now. I can see him like he is really getting prepared for this episode. So we'll bring him on here in just a second. We're going to be talking about getting clients on demand. So if you're familiar with that name, you might already know who it is.
I believe many people do.
Yeah. So he is walking around and pacing in his office. So I guess we'll do a quick bio and then we'll get going. So yeah, I actually worked with, so we're going to have on the show today, Russ Ruffino, president, founder, CEO, whatever it is, I don't know, of Clients on Demand. He's had that business since 2011, Jonathan.
2011.
That's a long time.
Yep.
In internet years, that's like, what, 100 years in internet years, I think?
That's some longevity.
Yeah, and consistency. So we'll ask him about how he's been able to stay so consistent in a world that is just known for changing stuff. So he's the greatest guy in the world, incredible husband, father, like anything you can think good, this is the guy. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring him on because we don't have a real bio, so we'll just make stuff up. Welcome to the show, Russ Ruffino.
What's going on, gentlemen?
What's going on? I like it. You're up out of your seat, ready to go.
Yeah, man. I've been on calls and stuff and meetings all day, so I figured let me actually stand up. I don't know if you guys can see behind me, but like we literally had like 2.5 feet of snow today.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So where are you at? What part of California?
I'm in California, but like we're up in the mountains. Like we're at like 6,000 feet. So it's just been dumping snow the last couple of days.
Wow.
So it's kind of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that like the full-time place now?
That's the full-time place. Yeah.
Okay. When'd you move up there? Because last time I saw you were still on the beach, but that's been.
Yeah. So we had our place in Laguna and then we bought this place. And then during COVID, we were like, in the very beginning of COVID, when, those videos were coming out of China, like people dropping dead in the streets, and like welding people into their apartments and stuff. I was like, hey, why don't we go up to our house in the mountains? And like, we just kind of stayed up here and never left. We never left. Yeah. We just stayed.
You do know COVID's over, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it's, 20,000 square foot house. It's nice. Like, so we got pretty cozy up here. So.
How many acres?
We're on 4.5 acres. Yeah.
4.5. Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right.
Beautiful.
Well, let's give us a quick teaser, and I know it just going to depend on the questions we ask, since you said that earlier. But like, if we talk a little bit about what you do, what's a good teaser you can give for people to stick around?
Yeah. So look, we work with coaches and experts, anybody who's got real expertise. We show them how to take their expertise and package it into a high ticket online coaching program that sells for 5 or 8 or 10 or 15,000 or pretty much whatever people want to charge. So most of our clients are like dating coaches, relationship coaches, doctors, therapists, copywriters, experts of any kind who can solve a major life or business challenge. We show them how to maximize their income and their freedom and their impact. So whatever you guys ask me, I'm happy to talk about, but it's probably going to have something to do with that.
Yeah, somewhere there'll be a thread in there for sure. So
yeah.
All right. Well, this is a little portion of our show, Russ, that we call Juvenile Beer Talk. Thanks to one of our guests at one time, or comments one time, said we could skip the Juvenile Beer Talk, but we still do it because why not? Write beer off on the taxes. So do you have something to drink there, Russ? You said you had a coffee or something.
I think my wife was bringing me a coffee, but we'll see. I see I'm hearing a lot of action downstairs with my kids. So like,
who knows? Yeah. She probably forgot.
How many kiddos do you have?
4.
Awesome. What ages?
9, 7, 5, and 4.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good.
All under 10. That's awesome.
So Jonathan,
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of energy to deal with, man. It's a lot.
Keeps you young. It keeps you young, though. I love that.
It keeps me tired, dude. I haven't slept through the night in 9 years. So
yeah, that's a rough way to go for sure. Sure. Well, Jonathan, what do you have over there, real quick?
I've got something called a burial. Crazy name. A shadow clock burial Pilsner. I'm trying.
Wow.
I was up in Germany last week, so I had a few Pilsners, and let's see. I want to share this. I love the art. That's why I'm sharing it. So it's you'll appreciate this, Sean. Little burial shadow clock Pilsner.
Very nice.
So only 5.5%. I'm not going to read all the copy they put on there. But I had
Pilsner is the almighty gift of time.
There you go.
There you go.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep. No, I was up in northern Germany last week, and I was like, I got my Pilsner fix in, and I haven't quite left it. So I been on this Pilsner tangent, and Hefeweizen and Pilsners the last week or so.
Very nice. Nice. All right. So you have your coffee. What kind of coffee do you typically go for? Ice, hot, Russ? What do you?
Delicious latte.
There you go.
Prepared lovingly by my beautiful wife.
There you go. That's the best kind. Coffee prepared for you.
Oh yeah, tastes better.
Much better. Made with love. What's the
Love
Japanese
is the secret ingredient?
Yeah, what's the Japanese guy that does the stuff with water? You know, the emotions and the water.
Masuro Emoto, I think.
Yeah. So same thing. Coffee's mostly water anyway. So yeah, same with beer. All right. You have a favorite go-to like blend or anything, or?
You know, when you're putting it in a latte, it doesn't matter. Like when you're drinking it, like just like drip coffee, then it really matters. But when you're putting milk and all this stuff in it, it's like, you know, any espresso blend will work.
Real milk, or like you do some kind of California milk?
No, real milk.
Good.
Yeah, everything else is water that's lying about being milk.
Yes, thank you. Yes, glad they haven't done you in over there.
In California, they haven't warped you yet. Right?
Yeah. So
no, never.
All right. So I've got since St. Patrick's Day is next week, I've got a Lucky Bastard. Oh, my camera's messing up. Infamous
Lucky Bastard.
Lucky Bastard blend Car Bomb Coffee Stout. So this is from a local brewery and a local coffee roaster combo. So it's a Car Bomb Coffee Stout. So yeah, very dark, very, very dark. So
nice.
Sounds very Irish. Car Bomb.
Yeah, very Irish. So said bomb 6 times. We probably won't make this on YouTube very, very much longer. So,
I love the backdrop, by the way, Sean.
Yeah, it was actually default here in StreamYard. So little beer store, kind of cool.
There you go.
All right. Well, cheers, guys. To a
cheers.
Episode.
Cheers.
Quick shout out to my little buddy Bond, who's watching on the show right now. He's not over 21. We probably shouldn't be watching, but he is. So,
Bond.
Hey Bond.
Is that his first name or last?
Yep, first name. Okay. Yeah. So kids, Tamara takes care of.
Okay.
One of them. So, well, let's jump in. So first, Russ, give us a little bit of background. Like, you said you've been in since 2011. Kind of just how did you get into this world of like online marketing and persuasion? And then we'll kind of dive off from there.
It's a big story, man. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. So, like from age 21 to age 31, I was living in LA and I was bartending and I was doing acting, which is basically what you do when you're trying to do acting if you're not actually making it. Turned 31, decided there's no way I was going to be a 40-year-old bartender. So right around that time, I came across The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, stumbled upon that, read it. And that was kind of what woke me up to this whole idea of online entrepreneurship. And then right around the same time, I was the lead singer of an 80s cover band. And my guitarist's younger brother came in and was just talking all this shit. Like, what recession, baby? I made $1,200 today. I did this, and I was like, what is this kid doing? And turned out he was doing affiliate marketing, like on ClickBank, Commission Junction, like real, like old school affiliate marketing, right? And so, of course, because I just read 4-Hour Workweek, my interest was piqued and I kind of like listened to what this guy was talking about. And I just was like, look, man, if this guy can figure out how to like make money online, I can too. So I just dove into it and started making about like $500 a month right away. Like not enough really to like pay the bills or anything, but kind of just a little bit to show me that if I did it full time, I was like, I bet if I do this full time, I can really make it work. So quit my bartending job and ended up making around $250,000 online that first year,
Wow.
which was just life-changing for me. And
Yeah.
I had no background in marketing. I had no background in copywriting. I mean, I was an actor and a bartender. That was it. My degree from UCLA was in theater, right? So, but I mean, I could just do it. It was the weirdest thing. Like I sat down to write copy and I could just do it. And I'd never tried before, and it was good. I think the first VSL I ever wrote converted a $197 product at like 2%,
Wow.
which, you know,
That's
to cold
good.
traffic, which really isn't bad at all. So yeah, so then from there, I started out doing like a lot of low ticket stuff, like everybody does, you know, ebooks, video courses, whatever. And we would sell thousands of copies of these things, and the reviews were good and people were happy. But when I would check in with people and say, hey man, you know, Russ, that video course I got was great. Okay, cool, man. Did you put it into practice? Did you, you know, what kind of results did you get? Oh, well, you know, I bought like 4 other programs and I'm going to go through those first and then I'll get around to yours. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So I just realized like, okay, people were buying my stuff and I was making money, but nobody's really doing anything. And so, you know, I kind of thought to myself, all right, well, what if I flip this whole thing on its head? So instead of trying to sell thousands of copies of some low ticket, whatever, what if I raise the price to $5,000 or $6,000 and only worked with like a handful of people every month? You know, what would happen? And I thought, okay, well, if they're paying that much money, they'll probably show up and do the work. They'll probably get the result. And if I only have a handful of clients to worry about, I can probably give them like a real VIP experience. And that was kind of like my bet. Now at the time, man, this was like unheard of. Like, I know there's this whole like high ticket industry or whatever now, but like at that time, the idea of taking somebody from Facebook to a 40-minute webinar to like a $10,000 sale was like everybody told me that it couldn't be done. Everyone was like, no, you have to have like a $7 tripwire, and then you have to sell them a $27 thing, and then a $97 thing. And then 6 months later, you could finally sell them the high ticket thing you really wanted to sell them in the first place. And I was like, all right, that sounds like it makes sense. Maybe that's true. But I was like, let me freaking test this and see. And as it turned out, it wasn't true. And we figured out exactly how to take people from browsing around on Facebook to investing in a $10,000 program within 24 to 48 hours. And I think it was December of 2013 was when that whole model just clicked for us. And that was our first $200,000 month. And then we just never looked back since. So that was 2013. It's 2025 now. So we've been doing this and helping coaches create and roll out and sell high ticket offers for like 12 years.
So I've always wondered, because right about the same time, so I don't know did Frank Kern copy you? Because he came out in 2012 about
yeah.
this.
So there were, I'm not saying like I was the first person to do high ticket. Like, so Frank was doing high ticket. Kevin Nations was doing high ticket, but neither of them had really turned it into like an evergreen machine.
It was more from their list, right?
Yeah. So like Frank would mail his list and he would send some Facebook traffic to it, and he would get people on a webinar and, you know, sell them stuff, like sell them something high ticket or whatever. You know, and Kevin was doing something similar, but like we were really the first people to say, okay, how can we do this to ice cold traffic with like an automated webinar? So it just runs every single day. So we really have something scalable. And I can say we were probably the first people to do that, where it just became a machine.
Yeah, that makes sense, that distinction. But I remember going to a Frank Kern event back in 2012 where he was teaching this like 8-week model. You release the course on Tuesday, you have a call on Thursday, that same model that's very similar to what you do.
Yeah. And I probably did that same workshop or some version of it. But yeah, I mean, like, to give Frank credit, he and Kevin and a couple other guys were the first people where I was like, okay, so I know it's possible to do high ticket. The question was, is it possible to do high ticket to ice cold traffic, which that was the thing that people were like, no, you can't. But yeah, we figured it out.
Apparently
that's awesome.
Yeah. And how many people have come through the program now? Through Clients on Demand?
Over 6,000 was the last time I checked. And I think that was a couple of years ago.
Of your clients?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot.
How many people have gone through our program? Yeah, 6,000. So we've done over $100 million in revenue with this program and our other masterminds and stuff. But yeah, we've had over 6,000 coaches go through the program.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that many. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you started writing your own copy, did you have any background? I mean, did you go through any training or anything like
So
that?
this was the weird thing. Okay. So I've always, like, I always just had a gift for languages, right?
Yeah.
There's like, I was reading really young. I suck at math. Okay. But I was reading really young. Got a perfect score on the verbal part of the SAT. And my math scores were terrible. So I'm very like lopsided toward like verbal intelligence. Right.
Mhm.
But you know what it was, man? It was acting. Like it was really the acting, which was
Interesting.
the weirdest thing. So like the only copy book that I'd ever read at the time when I was starting was Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy.
Dan Kennedy.
And
Yeah.
in that book, right, which is a classic, right? But in that book, he's got, I think it's 8 or 10 questions that you should ask about your market. Like, what do they want more than anything? I think one of them is like, what would their perfect day look like? What keeps them awake at night, staring at the ceiling? And what's crazy, Jonathan, is that like these are the same questions that we would ask when we were breaking down a scene.
Yeah.
Right. Because if I'm going to play like Hannibal Lecter or something, I got to know, what does this guy want? What's he afraid of? What's whatever,
Yeah.
And I read the questions. And I was like, oh, I get this. This is just like acting. Right. And so I would put myself in my imagination in the shoes of the person that I was writing for.
Yep.
And that's when the copy just like flowed. So that was kind of like my secret sauce, was like really being able to just very easily project myself into someone else's mess.
You're getting into the character of your customer or the people.
Yeah, because I think as people, our tendency is to want to take the lumps out, right? To take the emotional challenge out of something, right? Like when we're dealing with a problem in our lives, we want to smooth it over. We don't want to like agitate it, right? Well, actors do the exact opposite. Like, let's say that there's a scene I'm doing where I'm, sitting down and having dinner with this girl, right? And I'm breaking up with her. And every line in the script is like, this isn't working. I don't love you, blah, 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 right? Well, if you're a shitty actor, you're going to say, no, I don't love her. No, it's not working. And I don't want to be here. And that's that. If you're a good actor, you're going to say, no, I'm crazy about this girl, but here's all the reasons we can't be together. And you're going to make it messy, and you're going to give yourself all this inner conflict, right? Which is the opposite of what most people do. But if you do that when you're writing copy, and you just really get into it and make it as messy as you can and find the conflict and find like the emotional agony that your audience is going through, then you've really got the chance to speak to them right where they're at. And that was just something that was like luck, I guess, like that I had that background, and that it translated so well, because who would have thought that,
What about bartending? Because you have to do a lot of communication.
Yeah.
Or unless you're in a really busy bar, I guess, then it's not as much.
No. So I wasn't a busy bar, which is cool. It was like maybe, I think, a 12, 15 seat bar. It was in a restaurant, so people would sit down. And that definitely helped too, man, because I got to see the way that people actually behave. Because people, if I'm watching two people break up, the person doing the breaking up is taking care of the other person. Do you know what I mean? Like in our minds, we think, well, when two people are breaking up, like, oh, you're just going to be like, oh, get out of here, whatever. But no, it's like, you feel guilty.
Yeah.
You want to take care of the other person. Like,
trying
no,
to
it's not you,
soften
it's me. It's totally about right. And I would see that play out over and over again. I would see a guy come in with his wife on Tuesday and come in with his mistress on Thursday. And I have to sit there and just watch all those interactions happening. So I think definitely that gave my subconscious like a lot of material, kind of like how, Quentin Tarantino always talks about how he used to work in a video store, and he would just sit there all day watching movies. Right. And I'm sure that just fed into the, his mental repertoire, like just watching people all day long doing their thing. You're not consciously aware of it, but like you've seen and you've processed so much. So I definitely think that helps too.
Yeah.
I had that feeling when you fired me, where you were taking care of me, and you were like, this is not easy. We really like you, but it's just not working out.
Right.
Gotta go, Sean.
So, I've experienced that firsthand. I know exactly what you're talking about. So, no, I think that's cool. Like, I know when I was before I ever got into copyright, I was doing a lot of sales, like in home, doing financial sales at kitchen tables. And that made going into copy so easy. Like,
Yeah.
just because the sales process was there. I could picture people saying something back to me, and that you have to kind of, figure out what they're saying in their head back to you, because you copy, you don't have that conversation back and forth. You got to anticipate it.
You got to anticipate it. That's huge. Yeah. Like and that's the hard part is like you write something and you're like, oh yeah, this is freaking awesome. And then you got to take off that hat and you got to put on the asshole hat and tear apart your own work and say, okay, well, if somebody was a completely skeptical, bastard, what would they say? What would they say about this? And you got to poke holes in your own copy. So yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you one thing you told me that I've not forgotten. You told me that urgency should not come from like your offer or like a time. It should come from the prospect's life.
Yeah.
I think that's one of my favorite things that you shared when I worked with you. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. So I'd like to hear more on that.
Sure. So one of the things that really blew my mind when I switched over from low ticket to high ticket is that when you're writing copy for high ticket, it's almost like the exact opposite. So like, let's say that I'm trying to get you to buy a $7 ebook. It's like, yeah, I might throw in all these bonuses and this and that and, and all this other stuff, right? But if I've got this high ticket coaching program that's designed to, let's say, save your marriage, right? Your marriage is breaking up. You're going to work with me for 8 weeks. We're going to save your marriage. You're going to put your marriage back together. And I'm like, okay, Sean, so here's how this is going to work, man. We're going to work together for 8 weeks. I'm going to take you step by step through this process. And by the end of the 8 weeks, you're going to have a totally restored, renewed marriage that's going to be better than it ever was before, even better than it was on your honeymoon. And by the way, if you sign up right now, you're also going to get my 7-page ebook about blah, blah, blah. And you're going to get a free toaster.
Yeah.
And you're going to get a set of steak knives. So bro, like it just destroys the credibility, right?
Yeah.
But it's so funny because if you're doing a low ticket offer, then people do that stuff all the time, right?
Yeah.
So especially when it comes to urgency and scarcity, a lot of people will, with a low ticket offer, they will build in sort of, I want to say artificial, but it's not always artificial. If you do it right, it's real. But it's like, look, we've got our countdown timer and you've got 20 minutes to sign up for this or whatever, right? Again, with your high ticket offers, like if your high ticket offer solves a major life problem, that major life problem has urgency built in already.
Yeah.
So
they have to feel the urgency on their end. Like
exactly.
If they
I don't have to
this
say,
problem.
hey man, you got to sign up for this by 2:00 this afternoon.
Yeah.
It's like, you just got done telling me your marriage isn't working in any day now. The day that your wife is going to file those divorce papers.
Yeah.
Right. That's the urgency.
Right.
Like I better fix this shit now or we're going to have a real problem.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's like that was really surprising to me because it sort of just doesn't work. I mean, even, testimonials and case studies and credibility indicators. So here's a big concept that really made a difference when it came to high ticket for me is this whole idea of what we call the doctor frame. That if somebody's reaching out to work with you, it's because you're the doctor and they have this massive problem that they need to fix and you need to be the one to fix it. Right.
Yeah.
So anything that wouldn't be cool in a doctor's office probably isn't cool in your sales process either. Right. Like if you walked in your doctor's office and he was like, hey, Sean, I just want to draw your attention to this right here. You know what that is, man? That's a diploma. You know where it's from? It's from Yale. You ever heard of it?
Yeah.
Right. And you see this underneath that? These are all my testimonials of other clients who have done. And if you don't take these antibiotics, the clock's ticking, man. You got 15 minutes to decide whether you want to take these pills or not. You know what I mean? Like you'd run screaming out of the doctor's office.
I've never seen an oral surgeon or doctor or anyone like that say, I'll throw in these bonuses once you,
Yeah. You order this Viagra now, and I'll throw in some OxyContin for free, bro. I'm gonna hook you up. It's like,
some of these telemed doctors are starting to go in that direction. For some stuff. Yeah, they'll do the price drops and all that kind of stuff. So that's a big thing, the urgency and really getting in, and that comes through on the sales call as well. I mean, you need it well, I guess we haven't even really talked about like what is your typical funnel look like?
Yeah. So it's the same now as it's been for a long time. And we've made little tweaks here and there, but the overall strategy really hasn't changed. So it's going to a registration page where they sign up, name, email, and phone number. Then they get redirected to like a masterclass, which is basically a 25 to 40 minute webinar, video, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of, I mean, I guess it's basically a webinar, but normally when you think webinar, you think some 3-hour like massive thing. It's like 20 to 40 minutes. And then they book a call. And then on that first call, we enroll them into the high ticket offer.
Yeah.
And that's basically the approach we've been using forever. Now, certain things have changed. We used to run the videos on Stealth Seminar. So we would actually simulate a live event with like a countdown timer, this event starting at such and such a time. In our niche, online marketing niche, like that doesn't really work anymore. People are too savvy. Yeah. It still works in parenting. It still works in dating, relationships, like all these sort of direct to consumer niches. A lot of our clients are still running the webinars that we made for them 6 or 7 years ago and crushing it. So yeah, so that's the basics of the funnel. And then really the only big change that we've made is we've incorporated appointment setting into the process as well. Where when people register, we also, call them up and try to get them booked into the calendar, but basically it's the same process. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. In like I was kind of saying in the intro, in internet years to have the same basic thing for 15 years is that's pretty incredible. It's got to be like 100 years in internet.
It just goes to show that people don't change, right? I mean, people, they still have an itch that needs to be scratched, and they still respond to good copy. I mean, nothing, people are just people, right?
People still have problems.
Yeah.
I mean, human psychology doesn't change. And I mean, if you can intrigue people enough to get them to sit there and watch something for 25 to 30 minutes, that's compelling. And that's all you really need to facilitate the high ticket sale. Now, sure, look, if I'm talking to somebody who's binge watched 4 or 5 episodes of my podcast, then the sale is going to be easier.
Yeah.
But
they're predisposed.
30 minutes is really all you need, is what we found.
Yeah. Is the amount or the length of video is that changing with time because people say, I don't know if I agree with this, because people say, well, attention spans are getting shorter and shorter, so you got to shorten these the content. But it's like we talk about, good copy, people will stay engaged in it, or good video if it's good, right? I mean,
we tested it. We really did. Like when I saw a lot of the guys with B2B offers, like Cole Gordon, for example, right? Like they were just driving traffic into like a 6 or 7 minute VSL. Alex Becker did the same thing with Hyros, which is software. So it's like obviously a little different from coaching. And that seemed to work well for them, for these super sophisticated, very B2B markets and sort of agency type offers, where it really just comes down to the offer. Like, hey, we're going to get you this many clients, or we're going to run your ads or whatever. But especially when you're talking about offers where things are more emotional, you want to take more time there.
Yeah.
The power of your company is Jonathan Taylor, Sean McCool telling people the truth. That's the power of your company. And the other problem with sort of these short VSLs that are kind of all the rage right now, although I think the pendulum's starting to swing back the other way, is they lean too heavily on the offer. So like Alex Hormozy came out with $100 million offers, and then everyone was like, okay, we got to construct the coolest possible offer. Well, they started doing that, right? No fault of Alex's, but they started doing that without ever really considering, can we actually deliver on this offer, right? And so what I saw happening was, it was like, okay, we'll get you 5 clients in 60 days or you don't pay. And it's like, okay, that's reasonable, right? But then the next guy's like, okay, fine. Well, we'll get you 10 clients by next Thursday or you don't pay. And then the next guy's like, well, I'll get you a Lamborghini Aventador by 2:00 this afternoon, or, and it just became this like race to the bottom.
Yeah.
Because the only thing they were really competing on was the offer. And the problem is that anybody can just copy your offer. Sure. So you've got to have something else that people can really sink their teeth into. And that's really what we look for when we create these master classes for our clients, is like, Sean, if you've got a copy offer, that's cool. But like, what is different about the way that you do copy? What's different about the way that you bring it to the table? That's going to be different than if they hired, John Benson or somebody else. Like, why? What's that unique thing? And what are those unique pain points that you solve? And so, I don't think it's true that attention spans are getting shorter. I do think people are a lot more skeptical. I think people are a lot more cynical, partially because of what I just said.
Yeah.
Right.
Where in the early days of the business, and by the early days, I mean the first 10 years, we never talked to anybody who had been burned by another offer. I mean, it was like us. It was Taki Moore, who's still doing it. Sam Ovens, but he's moved on to school. It was Traffic and Funnels before they got shut down by the FTC. And so there were only like 4 or 5 companies that were really doing it kind of like at our level, right? So maybe I would talk to someone and they'd be like, hey, yeah, I worked, with Taki Moore. He's a great guy, but it wasn't really a fit, and that's fine. Like we would hear that, but we wouldn't hear, I got burned. And we hear that a lot now. Russ, I just dropped 20 grand 3 months ago with this other company that said they were going to do X, Y, Z, and they completely ghosted me.
Yeah.
Or I just dropped 30 grand with this other company and they went out of business 2 weeks after I signed up with them and I couldn't get my money back. Like those are the kinds of things we're hearing now that we never used to hear before.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people they read $100 million offers and they started cooking up these amazing offers and then couldn't deliver on anything they were saying,
Yeah.
Nothing there.
Well, let's talk about that a little. I think this is a good opportunity for you to like peek behind the curtain of clients on demand, because I've seen, I've been back there.
Yeah.
Like the amount of effort that you put into delivery after the sale. Like you've got a whole team of people. It's not just you. Like you've got a whole team of people supporting people. And I remember you saying one time that when you started, like everywhere you saw people getting stuck, you tried to figure out a way to add something to the program or a person to the program to get them over that hurdle.
Yeah.
And so talk a little bit about that, because I think that's not talked about enough in the industry about the delivery side.
Yeah. I think that a shitload of snow just fell off a tree behind me. If your North Star is anything other than what is going to get the best outcomes for the client, then I think ultimately you're building a house of cards in one way or another.
Yeah.
Yes, you've got to make sales. Yes, you have to be profitable. But at the end of the day, we're constantly asking ourselves that question, is what's going to get the best results for the client? So I'll give you guys a really good example. Should you offer a guarantee or should you not offer a guarantee? Well, we tested offering a guarantee, and it's not like a bunch of people wanted to take us up on the guarantee, right? But what we found is that when we had a guarantee in place, people came in the program and sort of dipped their toes in the water.
Yeah.
They didn't show up like gung ho. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do the result, do the work, and I'm going to get the result and I'm going to kick butt. And so their results were actually worse when we had the guarantee than when we didn't. So we got rid of it, right? Even if with the guarantee, we could sell more. It's not like our refunds were higher. It wasn't that. It was just that like we found that people weren't showing up quite as committed as when it was like, no, there's no guarantees. So let's dive in and we better make this work. That really lit a fire under
because they knew they had an out. They weren't fully committed because they knew they had an out.
Exactly. So we look at that across the entire spectrum of our program. Like, what can we do to get people better results? So I'll give you another quick example. When I was first starting out, like I'm a marketing strategist. I'm not a mindset coach. And what I thought was, hey man, I just hand people this amazing strategy and they're going to execute the strategy and they're going to crush it and it's going to be great. That's totally not what happened. Like people would come in and they'd be like, oh, this is great strategy, but they would get scared. They would have self-doubt. They would have imposter syndrome. They would freak out. Like we had people freak out when they had their first $100,000 month because no one in their family had ever made that much. I know it's crazy, right? Yeah. No one in their family had ever made that much money before. And I thought, hey, we get someone to 100K a month, like we're home free. Like I did my job. We're good. But no, and we actually started to call it the $100,000 a month meltdown because it was so common that people would get to. And it wasn't always 100. Sometimes it was 120 or 150 or 200 or 80. But whatever in their mind was this like internal, this is a lot of money. When they hit that mark, they would freak out. Yeah. So one of the things I had to do, man, is I had to go out there and hire a bunch of mindset and performance coaches to come onto the team. And that was really expensive. But when we did that, we saw the results go through the roof, because now when someone had that kind of meltdown or they were self-sabotaging or whatever, there were people on the team that could support them through that.
Yeah.
Because that's just not my skill set. I mean, I can yell at you and tell you to do, tell you what to do.
Right.
But I don't know how to get people past like their limiting beliefs, or at least I didn't at the time. So it's like, it's just looking at like, okay, do we have the best strategy? Are we constantly improving that strategy? Where are people getting stuck? And what can we do to get people better results? And I think of like, that's got to be this little program that's always running in the back of your mind, no matter how big your company gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just so under, just people don't look at that enough on the door. It's all about sales, new customers, add. And, you know, there's so much opportunity with your existing customers and to get them the result that you promised them.
I mean, if we're not getting people results, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like if you're selling cars and the cars don't go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like you're baking cookies and every cookie gives people food poisoning. Like you know what I mean? Like the bar is so low in our industry that it's like, dude, just do the thing that we're supposed to be doing. Let's start there. You know?
Slow down. Slow down and like actually get people through the whole program. So as you were talking about guarantees, I know a lot of times you use like a lot of car analogies, like you compared like low ticket, high ticket, like, and the whole ascension chain we were talking about earlier. It's like, you don't go in a Rolls Royce place and you buy the keychain first, and then you buy the the spare tire next.
They don't sell you the keychain and then sell you the floor mats and then work their way up to the
yeah. But I think it's true. Kind of the same thing with warranty. Like you don't hear Rolls Royce talking about their 5-year, $50,000 mile powertrain warranty.
No.
Right. I mean, that's a Toyota, Hyundai, Honda kind of thing, so because people want the experience, they want to feel a certain way, look a certain way, impress a certain group when you start getting those kind of things.
Yeah.
And I mean, so high ticket is just such a different animal that you do have to just completely change your thinking.
It really is, man. It was funny because like we were thinking about doing a low ticket something, like nothing crazy, like a book or, whatever. But it was like, just having to flip that switch in my mind. It was like, I forgot how to do, like, I was like, I don't remember how to do this, like with bonuses. And I was like, when is this? I gotta, so
I think the lowest ticket thing you've done, because I think you have something coming up Monday, right? Like this coming Monday,
Tuesday. Yeah. We'll do like a paid webinar every once in a while.
Yeah. We go a little deeper into the process.
Yeah. Like a workshop or whatever, but that's like a one-time thing. But
it's not part of the model.
Like,
it's just
like ebooks or any of that stuff. Yeah.
Do you find that's useful to, like, you got this backlog of people that have registered, never bought, maybe they were on sales calls, and then that gets them just a kind of a step further after they've been through the original process?
So what we found is that the hook of the workshop we're going to do on Tuesday is I'm going to help people create their high ticket offer right there on the call. Like, especially like now with AI, we can literally get that done in 3 hours if you know how. Yeah. And the reason we do that is because there's so many people that, no matter how many times I say it, think that you already have to have a high ticket offer to come and work with us. And I'm like, no, that's the first thing we do is put together your high ticket offer. But so many people are like, oh, I thought I already needed a high ticket offer, and you guys just help with the funnel piece. So I was like, all right, look, let's just do a workshop. We'll get this out of the way. We'll make a high ticket offer, and then if you want to help you sell it, fine, we can do that. So
that's cool that you're using AI or using I know John Benson has some really good stuff around like audience research and stuff like that. I don't know if you use some of his stuff for that.
Have you guys not like been playing around with?
Oh, I've been using. Yeah, we both play with AI quite a bit. So
yeah, man, like it's this funny arms race right now where it's like Claude was by far the best, and then Claude got kind of lazy and GPT kind of was better, and then Twitter came out with Grok is just ridiculous. But then now the new version of Claude is out, so it's just like every week there's something better coming out. But that's cool though, because it shows there's like really like intense competition to improve these things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I shouldn't even say this, but I've got AI writing copy like 98% as good as what I could write, and 100 times faster. So it's kind of just like,
I think you and I are in some similar AI groups on Facebook and things like that.
Yeah.
some different guys that, and it's just moving so fast though to keep track of it. I'm glad there's guys out there like Jonathan Mast and some of these guys, Jason Parker, that are doing really good work with they're just spending hours and hours a day with AI. And I'm like, okay, just tell me once a week what you're doing, and
Right.
and I'll plug in the tricks. But
No, it's scary, man. It's scary. Like,
yeah, where do you think it's going? Like, what do you?
I think we're all. I think humans are obsolete in 6 months. That's what I think.
So when did you start? When did you start thinking that? Because when it came out 2 years ago, so 2 years ago,
I was like, okay. When I first played around with Claude, especially, if I prompted it the right way, I could get it to write really smoking hot copy, and that's just gotten better and better and better.
Yeah.
But now the ability of tools like GPT and Grok to do abstract thinking and planning, it's like there's nothing. There's going to be nothing left for people in 6 months. Like, it will just be better than us at literally everything. And the crazy thing about it is that even right now, the responses that I get, they're not responses that I would get from someone with less than a 135 IQ, period.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Or 30 years of like really advanced experience.
Yeah. And it's like, and it's instant, which is the other thing. Like, if I'm like, hey, ChatGPT, write this webinar. Oh, it sucks. Great, do it again.
Yeah.
And it'll just do it again and again and again. With a human copywriter. Yeah. And you just tell it what you want. And with a human copywriter, it's like, it's going to take a few days at least to get that draft back. And that's if it's a fast writer. And, you got to worry about hurting their ego and being like, bro, this sucks. It's just like this whole like, yeah. So and the thing is, I don't know what that means. I honestly, I don't know what that means for everybody. Like, nobody knows.
It's hard to wrap. You can't wrap your head around it because it's just
you can't.
Yeah.
Well, what about what you do? High ticket coaching. Can AI replace that? That's
probably.
A personal,
I don't know. So here's what I think.
It takes a personal approach, though, doesn't it?
Well, so here's what I think here's what I think's going on. I don't know if you guys remember, but like when I first met my wife, we met in 2008. So we met right when people were kind of transitioning from MySpace to Facebook, and online dating wasn't a thing yet.
No apps.
And so when people met their wife or husband online, they were like embarrassed about it. Right. It was like, where'd you guys meet? Oh, we met online. That's so dorky, But now like everybody meets online. And it's rare to find people that's like, no, actually walked up to her in real life and said hello. And it turned into something. What? That never, the same thing is going to happen with AI, where right now, for the next, probably I'm going to say 3 years, people are going to prioritize authentic human connection. So there's going to be a ton of AI generated content that comes out. People are going to think it's garbage. They're going to want the real connection. I want the real Sean McCool. I want the real Jonathan Taylor. I want to know I'm working with a real person. Just like when you call a customer support line and it's like, hello, thank you for calling Bank of America. You're like, oh God, right? Yeah. What's going to happen is that's going to completely invert.
Yep.
Because the AI is going to have godlike intelligence. Yep. And you are not going to want to deal with a real person.
Yeah.
The AI is going to be instantly able to solve any problem that you could possibly put in front of it like that. And it will never get impatient, and it will never get tired, and it will never forget what you were talking about. It will never lose its concentration. It will be there for you like no human being has ever been there for you at any point in your life. And when we get to that point, you're not going to want to talk to a real person. You're going to want to talk to the AI. You're going to be like, oh God, I had to talk to this real person. Can you believe it? Like, he didn't know the answer to my question. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah. So I think for the next few years, at least, we're gonna value that human connection. But I do think that over time that might invert. It might change.
Yeah. We had Rich Sheffrin on a couple of years ago, and he said the same thing because he was way ahead on the AI stuff.
Yeah.
And he saw it, and he's like, yeah, it won't be long before people prefer AI over. And some of them, sometimes that's already happening and you don't even realize that you're talking to AI. Like some of these really advanced sales bots and stuff. Like,
so I think the law is going to go against that. Like, The second there's an AI sales bot that can actually close deals consistently, Congress will for sure pass a law that says you have to disclose that it's AI if you don't already.
Sure.
But yeah, like that'll be the way it is for a few years. And then I think absolutely, Sean. It'll be like you want to talk to an AI, because the thing is, like, if an AI knows everything there is to know about my program, and I have my salesperson who's a human being who knows a lot about my program, but not everything there is to know, why wouldn't I want to talk to the AI?
Or had a fight with his wife that morning, so he's off.
Yeah.
It's like, he's not going to be compassionate on the sales call because he's pissed off. Like, yeah, it's tough. So,
yeah,
man, we could go on forever on this. Jonathan, I know you got a hard stop, so
yeah. No, this is good.
This has been good stuff, Russ. Where can people find? I know where they can find, but why don't you say it? Where they can find out about you.
So if you want to find out more about our business, go to clientsondemand.com. You can click that button right there. This is watch our training, and it'll walk you through the high ticket model and what that looks like.
Yeah.
And who's kind of your target? What you mentioned that earlier, like,
so it's anybody that's got real expertise.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean you need to be an anointed expert or a PhD or have a bunch of letters after your name, but you have to be able to solve a major life or business challenge. You're a dating coach, relationship coach, marriage coach, parenting coach, trainer, nutritionist, chiropractor, acupuncturist, something like that, where like you got a big problem you can solve. If you're a 17-year-old kid that works at Pinkberry, I don't know what you're going to have a high ticket coaching program about. So as long as you got that real expertise, we can help you knock it out of the park. Yeah.
You got to expand your horizons there, buddy.
So what if I want? So what about psychedelic guide?
Ooh.
Yeah. That could probably work, man. Again, but the key, Sean, is we got to attach it to an outcome. That's the key.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you're using it to help people overcome PTSD, boom, or like whatever it is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some cool stuff happening around that.
Do you work with any golf professionals out there doing training?
Golf professionals?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of our best clients is crushing it in the golf space. Dean.
I'm sure they are.
He's doing an amazing job. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. The handstand guy comes to mind. That was
Brian.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he still with you guys?
I mean, he's crushing it. He's not in our mastermind anymore, but he was one of those ones where we just like set him up and then go ahead, I don't need people to stay in the program forever. Like if you're crushing it and it's self-sustaining, go.
Yeah.
So
that was crazy.
So he killed it.
Yeah. A guy teaching handstands, Jonathan, like literally how to do a handstand, and was selling high ticket. He was selling like,
charged. Yeah.
It's crazy. So.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Well, Russ, this has been great. Any like parting words of wisdom you want to leave with the audience, or?
No, guys. I mean, this has been great. And the main thing is like, don't undervalue yourself. If you've got something that can really change someone's life, you should be charging $5,000 or $8,000 or $10,000 for it. And then you just need a really simple marketing process to get people in the door consistently at that price, and you're off to the races. So don't overcomplicate it. You don't need all these complicated funnels and all this other stuff. Just keep it simple.
Who's your favorite actor? As a guy that's been
favorite actor?
Yeah, or actress. You could say either.
I gotta go with Anthony Hopkins. I mean,
okay. All right.
The greatest of the great. I mean, the guy's just unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Although I did run into Gary Oldman once, and he was really impressive too. So
really? Is he a nice guy?
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's a great actor.
Yeah, he's a chameleon.
I loved him in the Dark Knight trilogies, or the trilogy.
I mean, goodness, Russ, you got enough money now. You should just do your own film and just star in it.
Yeah, I've thought about that, but I don't know, man. It's different. Like nobody sees anything that's not like these huge blockbusters anymore, really. Like I don't think you could make like a Good Will Hunting now.
No, yeah.
It's difficult because everybody's got to have these guys have to have a template nowadays to it's got to fit within it.
So like Ben Affleck was talking about this the other day. It's the DVD thing. Like, so they do the theatrical release, they make a quick pop of money, but then when the DVD came out, they double their money. So they could afford to do these like smaller art movies because they know they would make their money back. Now, if they don't make their money in the theater, they ain't making it.
Yep.
So that's really been like, okay, now it's a big gamble for these financing guys. So they want to attach it to something they know people already are into.
Right.
Well, I think the other thing is the collective conscious is it's more fragmented than it used to be.
Yeah.
So it used to be in the 80s or 90s, if a movie was good at the theater, like that was your only option. Like you couldn't go home and watch Netflix. You couldn't go so the stuff people were talking about it was just fewer things to talk about. So when something blew up, it blew up even though we didn't have viral back then, like the collective consciousness would be around a TV show or a movie
Yeah.
in a much bigger way. Like if you look at ratings numbers now on a volumes basis compared to 20, 30 years ago, it's not even close. Like
Yeah.
money, it's higher because inflation and stuff, but actual eyeballs, like more people would watch a movie in the theater way back then than ever they do now. So it's kind of crazy. I wish they would just do like units of tickets sold instead of dollars sold.
Yeah.
Like, so historically you would know what the best movies were.
Right.
But yeah,
Dude,
I think there's
in 2 years, you're going to be able to go to AI and be like, hey, make me a Bruce Lee movie starring Samuel L. Jackson, and hit enter. And in 2 minutes, you'll have your own like feature length movie that you can just watch. It's just for you.
I do that with Seinfeld episodes all the time. I'll get this like weird idea about, oh, that'd make a good Seinfeld episode. I go in and say, make a Seinfeld episode about throwing away a birthday card.
Yeah.
Like when do you do that? Like, do you do that? Is it 7 days? Is it 30 days? Like, do I need to keep it for a year? And it did the whole thing.
That's so funny
with all the characters, and you can literally hear the voices because it's so spot on.
Oh yeah,
language.
Yeah,
it's just crazy. So
it's crazy, dude. And I think nobody really knows what it means. Like it's happening, but nobody really knows where this leaves anybody. It's the weirdest thing.
And we're just going full speed ahead, even though we don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, there's no stopping it.
There's exactly, because everybody's competing to.
Yeah, even if America was like, yeah, we're going to outlaw this, then China would just be like, awesome, we're going to roll with this.
That's right.
Yeah. So everybody understands that whoever develops it first is just going to steamroll everybody else. So it's like, okay, I don't think there's any
horses are out of the barn. No stopping.
It's like the nuclear arms race in the 80s, like or 70s and 80s.
Right.
Like it's just that's what it is. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, Russ, this is beginning. We're going to put you in the green room for just a second. We'll wrap up and then we'll come back to you.
All right, man.
That's awesome.
All right, that's good stuff, man. We could talk all day on that.
Oh yeah, good stuff, man. You talked about consistency. I mean, that's being consistent. 2011, nothing's really changed.
Same model yet. So
exactly,
good stuff. All right, well, Jonathan, take us out.
All right, guys, you can find us persuasionbythepint.com. As a reminder, you can find us on all of your podcast platforms. This is episode, scrolling at the bottom, 388 episodes. And Sean, it's been fun, man. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Thanks again to Russ Ruffino for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
All right.